My name's Robert Wolfhurst, and I am a licensed acupuncturist in New York and Florida. And today on Pitcher Healer Herbs, we want to talk a little bit about Wu Jia Pi and its subsequent alcohol that goes with it, Wu Jia Pi Jiu. Now, a lot of people aren't very familiar with how Chinese herbs work, because normally when you see it, they're always just in a decoction or a soup or a tea, and even nowadays you'll see them in a granular or powder form. This is all for convenience, but way back when there were other ways of preparing the herbs, and one of them happened to be mixing it with alcohol. Now, in TCM school, they teach you that the herbs themselves are fried with alcohol to increase their effect, more specifically their effect of invigorating the blood. But one of the other things they did is they actually soaked the dried herb in alcohol, and they would use it as a tonic later on. Now, Wu Jia Pi is one of the more common herbs that they use within an alcohol base. Now, Wu Jia Pi can be in several formulas. It's an herb that's used in what we call B syndrome, which would probably equate to something close to arthritis or injuries that hurt with under 4 different conditions: wind, damp, cold, or heat. But when they take this alcohol, really what they're doing is they're trying just to increase the flow of blood through the body. The herbs themselves work as a tonic, yes, but the invigoration of the blood is what brings the whole thing through. I mean, we know that alcohol itself kind of increases the heart rate, so of course the blood's going to be pumping a little bit more. There are certain herbs that work better with alcohol than just by themselves alone in a regular decoction. So I want to go through with you today and show you some of the ways that it's used in alcohol, the different types of alcohol, and even how to make your own herbal tonic at home. So the first thing to talk about when discussing Wu Jia Pi is the herb itself. Wu Jia Pi is called acanthopanax root, or Cortex acanthopanus. It is an herb that we use again for B syndrome, which is a condition just like arthritis or like a chronic injury that hurts in wind, dampness, cold, heat, basically weather change. And I'm sure there's a lot of older people who can tell you that they can predict the weather just by how their knee, feels the day before or a couple of days before. This is kind of the same idea. Now, the herb itself is bitter, which means that it kind of clears heat. However, this one is used specifically for any type of injuries related to pain with wind or when it's raining out. Of course, this can be combined with other herbs to make it a bit stronger, but just as the focus itself, it also invigorates the blood. It helps strengthen, as they say, the tendons and the bones. And it will promote urination so that it helps to reduce swelling and edema. So what we have here is we have a combination of Wu Jia Pi along with other herbs. Now this is actually what would be the formula that you would put into the alcohol for Wu Jia Pi Jiu. Now we have the Wu Jia Pi, as I stated before. There is cinnamon bark, which helps to again move the blood on the inside, help to warm the body as well. We also have angelica root, dangui, and also it's pairing with something called chuancheng. Now, dangui and chuancheng are part of a formula called suwu tang, which is a 4 substance. It's something that helps I don't want to say tonify the blood, but it helps to increase the quality of the blood. Also included in this formula we have this herb which is cut up dangshen. Now dangshen, as they say in TCM, tonifies the qi. But what does that actually mean? Tonify the qi, which a lot of people scoff at, is something that just helps the body to have more stamina. I don't want to say energy because it's not really the same exact thing. Qi and blood are related. So generally speaking, whenever you're trying to tonify the blood, you should also add tonify the qi herbs in as well. They like to say that qi is the opposite of blood. They're related, but they're still different. Like qi has no substance, whereas blood does. Blood nourishes the bodies, and qi also does as well. They're both intertwined within the body. So this way, putting them together helps to strengthen the function. Now there are also other herbs in here, but they're pretty much preference herbs. I mean, if you want to strengthen the herb a little bit, the formula a little bit more, you could add like a couple of more herbs related to B syndrome. You can add a little more herbs that target a specific body, such as duzong. That in itself will help with back pain. This would, in combination with that, this would be nice if you have like a slipped disc or some type of arthritis in the back, bulging disc, things like this. So there are many ways that you can create this formula, and you can actually find a lot of formulas online for this. But you can also buy pre-packaged alcoholic drink for Wu Jia Pi Jiu. And depending on the maker, they'll have different herbs inside of it. So let's talk a little about how we go from this to this. Now, in most Asian markets, they might have a little herbal section that you can find. And the one that we have close by to our house actually sells Wu Jia Pi in this form. So if you want to try it for yourself, you can just take an alcohol base, just add in the herb, and you can try it. I did that with this one specifically. Since my wife is Taiwanese, she was able to get me a bottle of baijiu, which is the Chinese white alcohol that they normally use for mixing the herbs and alcohol together. And you just let it sit for 3 months or so. Now you can see here that it actually turned a little yellow color. And you can also see the herbs down at the bottom. You can see here that the herb itself is actually expanded because the water on the inside does actually permeate the herb and help it to soak into the alcohol as well. It works a little faster, which is nice, but tell you the truth, you don't want to let it sit for too long. After a while, the alcohol itself can turn to vinegar. The taste may not be so great, or it just gets too strong. In a Chinese grocer, you can also find pre-made Wu Jia Pi that they sell in kind of the health section. Now, a lot of people would think it was strange that it would be in the health section, but this type of alcohol is not something that you drink cups and cups of. It's not like beer or wine. It's not something that you would normally take at a meal or something like that. Actually, this is used more for something you take either in the beginning of the day or the end of the day. Wu Jia Pi would be great on a really cold day, such as we have here, where it's been 8 degrees and we have a foot of snow. Just coming in from the cold, taking a very small shot of it would actually help to at least warm the body a little bit. And that's what they really used alcohol, to begin with. But the added tonics on the inside, also help to prevent any type of damage that might happen. It might help to prevent like a cold from setting in. There are a lot of different ways based on the herbs and the way that the formula is set up. This one itself is just very cheap. You could actually find it for maybe $5 in a convenience store. And it's just made with, a little bit of alcohol. I think in itself it's maybe 10 to 15% alcohol. Now there are other types which are actually, better quality. This one specifically is used with an alcohol called Galiang, which is more popular in Taiwan. The alcohol content, however, is closer to 45 to 48%. So it's much, much stronger. However, the herbs and the way that they had set it up, it doesn't taste like you're trying to drink rubbing alcohol, which is nice. I tried this with a few of my friends a few years ago, and they actually love it. And I saw online that a lot of people are actually, I don't want to say addicted, but they actually like this specific brand of Wu Jia Pi. And a lot of people search for it. And I would say that, again, the best place that you could go to find this would probably be an Asian market or somewhere where you have a Chinatown inside your city. However, if you can't find the bottles or have access to a Chinatown, you can always make this. Now, you can find recipes online, you can find the herbs online. The alcohol itself, you'll just have to go to your normal distributor, and you will go from a formula where you have all of the herbs soaking, and then you get this nice little special colored mixture. Now you can see the big difference between just doing it with the Wu Jia Pi itself and the Wu Jia Pi with the herbs. You can see that this is kind of a yellowish, almost clear color, but this one has a nice deep red color. The color itself is actually important because the herbs that you put inside of it may dictate how it helps the body. For example, in TCM, red helps the heart and the blood, and this is something that we're actually looking for. Now, making the choosing the alcohol, what you want to do is you want to use anything between, say, 25 to 40%. Now, yes, you could find some things stronger, you could find things lighter, but as I mentioned before, if you have if the proof of the alcohol is too low, the water soaks into the herbs, but the alcohol doesn't break it down to make it any stronger. It's not the greatest or the most functional of herbs, but it will certainly taste a little better. However, as opposed to that, if you use vodka, which is 80% proof or 40% alcohol, now all of a sudden the taste itself changes. It's a little more harsher. But as I said, this isn't a type of drinking alcohol. This is something that you just take like a very, very small shot of. And when I mean small, I mean 1 to 2 ounces. And again, you can just take a mixture, like this herb itself is maybe 70 grams of herbs at the most. I think maybe it's only about 65. You get a nice jug that has an open top, a wide open top, so that at least you could fit in the herbs. And then you just take the alcohol of your choice and you fill it up. And that's it. You let it sit for about 60 days. However, there are things that state that maybe after about 2 weeks you could actually start taking it. It is strong enough that you would have some function. But the longer you let it sit, the stronger it'll be. You just don't want to let it sit for too long, or else it becomes way too strong. You can find that it gives you like a strong headache, it constricts the sinuses. These are the type of symptoms where you can tell, yeah, the the alcohol itself has gotten too strong, you'll probably have to make a new batch. But the mixture itself will probably stay for like 1 to 2 years. You really don't want to keep it any longer than that. So you're probably curious about how the alcohol got its red coloring, and the reason is because one of the ingredients that we used for the formula is red yeast rice. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard of red yeast rice before. You can find it in common health food stores, and you can buy it online, you can buy it on Amazon. But this one that I used, I actually got from the Asian market, and it's the whole red yeast rice. It's not just the powder or the capsules of the things that you normally find online. The use of red yeast rice is for, lowering cholesterol, helping with heart health. There are a number of different papers and a number of different things, but it's actually very popular in Taiwan and China, so you'll actually see it in a lot of the different things that they have there. Now, this mixture, which I made about a couple of weeks ago, it actually turned red within 24 hours just with the red yeast rice. And I believe that I used too much of it. You don't actually need to have that much inside. I would actually say maybe anywhere between 3 to 5 grams. But you can see the Wu Jia Pi floating up on top. You can see the other herbs are sitting down at the bottom. And it's always good just to give this a shake once in a while, just to make sure that the herbs are still, they're not settling, they move around a little bit, you get surface area, and you can actually see that it's dyed a little bit. You can see the herbs have actually turned red a little bit too because of the red yeast rice. It just gives a nicer coloring. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's very basic in the way of making medicinal wine, but if you have any questions, you have comments, suggestions, just leave it in the comments below and we'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to see anything else about Chinese herbs or anything about TCM, leave it in the description below too.